So Kathleen Kennedy just responded to the rumors of her being fired. Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, has responded to this in the past as well. I'm going to break it all down for you in this video, tell you what's true, tell you what's not true. Let's get into it. So there's been a lot of rumors recently when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. A lot of people saying a lot of different things when it comes to the firing of Kathleen Kennedy. Will Kathleen Kennedy leave Lucasfilm? Will her contract be renewed? A lot of people think very differently when it comes to this topic. We have people reporting, people like Doomcock, other people with actual journalism companies saying that Kathleen Kennedy is likely to not renew her contract. But then a lot of people see that and they're like, yeah, we've heard that before. I'm not listening to this. I'll believe it when I see it type thing. And I don't blame you for that. You know, we have seen this before. Last time she renewed her contract, a lot of people were out there saying that she wouldn't renew her contract. But this time, it's just different. I've said this a million times. It's just different this time. Last time, they had no other proof. They had no one else working at Lucasfilm that could possibly do Kathleen Kennedy's job. They had no one else that proved to Disney, that proved to the Disney higher-ups that Kathleen Kennedy is actually not doing, she's not actually making peak Star Wars. You know, you could make the argument back then that the sequel trilogy, yeah, it fell off a little bit with the box office numbers, but maybe she was doing the best that she could. Maybe she was actually making peak Star Wars that could be made right now. You can make that argument back then. If you're a Disney exec, if you're not a Star Wars fan, just from a business perspective. But now you're having Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni make stuff like The Mandalorian that are invoking these emotions out of people. The Mandalorian season 2 finale are getting these emotions out of people that the sequel trilogies just didn't do. And not only are they getting these emotions out of people, but they're putting these numbers up on Disney Plus because of those emotions, because of The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, because of how great it is. They're getting these numbers on Disney Plus that are just unheard of. I forgot exactly what the number was for how many times The Mandalorian season 2 finale was replayed on Disney Plus, but it was absurd numbers. Like, I remember hearing that for the first time and I didn't believe it at all. But it actually came from Disney themselves. They actually released the numbers. So it was absurd numbers. And then another thing is when people report that Kathleen Kennedy's leaving, and the naysayers, the people that don't think that she's leaving or the people that don't want her to leave, always cite stuff like this. Disney CEO Bob Chapek shuts down question about Kathleen Kennedy being fired. And this is talking about at that investor call or investor meeting, whatever you want to call it. And whenever Bob Chapek was asked at this investor call about Kathleen Kennedy possibly leaving Star Wars, possibly not renewing her contract, this is what Bob Chapek said. We've been absolutely thrilled that we can have the kind of creative talent in our company, the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, to run Lucasfilm. And we look forward to having Kathy directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm organization for many years to come. Thank you for your question. Next question, please. The fact that he moved on so fast from that question says a lot, for one. And for two, this means absolutely nothing. Like, if you think that a CEO talking highly of one of his employees in an investor call, a shareholders meeting, if you think that actually means something, then you might have a very low IQ, because there is no possible way. Do you know what Bob Chapek's job during their shareholders call is? To make the price of Disney stock go up. That's his job. His sole job in that meeting is to do that. Do you think that him saying, yeah, actually, we're going to fire Kathleen Kennedy in 6 months. She's not going to renew her contract. She kind of sucks at her job. We don't really like what she's doing at Lucasfilm. So yeah, she's out of here. Do you think that him saying that would make the stock go up at all? Because I think that you have to be pretty low IQ to even for that to even cross your mind that it's a possibility for him to say that in this meeting. He would never say that. You have to be an idiot. He would get fired immediately. The same thing goes for sports. I always make the analogy, but you never hear of head coaches or general managers of sports teams talk badly about their quarterbacks, even though they're going to get fired the next week, or their head coach. General manager will never talk badly about a head coach. Even though they might get fired the next week, they'll always say, you know, we have faith in our head coach. He's a great head coach. He'll be our head coach for the near future. And she's like, you're talking out of your ass. Like, you don't actually know. And Bob Chapek doesn't know either. I think that Kathleen Kennedy will be gone, personally. I don't have any insider info on that, but I don't see a reason why she would stay. I don't see a reason why it's beneficial for any party involved. Why would it be beneficial for Disney for Kathleen Kennedy to stay? For one, you have people that are just much more capable. And like I said, it's been proven with Jon Favreau. The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 just proves it alone. Small scale story. Sequel trilogy had these super large scale stories, super high budgets. She could get any director that she wanted, get any writers that she wanted, any cinematographers that she wanted, anything. And she couldn't make it happen. She couldn't make the fan base as happy as Jon Favreau does with The Mandalorian, which for a TV show is very high budget. I'll give you that. It's very high budget for a TV show, for a Disney Plus show. But in comparison to the sequel trilogy, the budget is nothing. And then in terms of the story, it's not that large scale of a story. Like, let's face it, it's not a world-ending world threat. You know, it's not a if this happens then the world will end. If we don't do this then the world will end. No, it's kind of just like protect Baby Yoda or I'll be very sad. You know, it's not like if Baby Yoda gets taken by the Empire, the world's gonna blow up. No, not really. It's just like, I love my child. I want to keep this child. But in the sequel trilogy, it's like if the First Order wins or the Final Order wins, whatever the hell you want to call it, if they win, then that's kind of the end of the world. You know, there'll be a dictatorship over the entire galaxy. So you have the Mandalorian with a very small scale story outdoing the sequel trilogy with this huge budget. The best directors that Kathleen Kennedy thought was the best directors for the job. She could get any director that she wanted, not only because of the budget that she had, but because of the Star Wars name. And then you have Jon Favreau with a very low budget in comparison and a very small scale story, telling a way better story. Something that fans liked way more than the sequels. So that's proof right there that you don't need Kathleen Kennedy. And then also, going back to this Bob Chapek stuff, whenever he talks highly of Kathleen Kennedy, people think that means something. Look at what he said when he was asked about the Gina Carano situation. This right here is all the proof that you need to know that Bob Chapek talking highly of his employees means nothing. The questioner asked if there's a new blacklist punishing conservatives in the entertainment industry. He cited Carano's tweets and a tweet with an entirely different context from star Pedro Pascal regarding Disney and a blacklist. David said, obviously going for a big moment, this is the way. So obviously this article doesn't like the Gina Carano narrative. They don't like the fact that people are on Gina Carano's side. Whatever, I don't care. I just wanted the quotes. I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself. This is what Bob Chapek replied to this, by the way. This is a quote from Bob Chapek talking about Disney's beliefs. I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal. Values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. So you're trying to tell me that Bob Chapek truly thinks that Disney is not left or right leaning? No. What is Bob Chapek's job during this shareholders call? To make his stock go up. Say whatever you have to say to make the shareholders happy. That's it. And he did that. He's not actually trying to tell the truth. He has no incentive to tell the truth here. And we seek to have not only how we operate, but the context that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world that we live in. And I think that's the world that we should all live in harmony and peace. So just a bunch of BS, man. He's just saying stuff. Obviously, like, pre-written stuff that he got before this meeting. They were like, look, when you're asked about Kathleen Kennedy, say this. When you're asked about Gina Carano, say this. It doesn't mean anything. And I think Kathleen Kennedy is also fighting back against being fired or her contract ending, because I think that she feels the pressure. You know, obviously, you got to give her credit for bringing John and Dave together. Obviously, got to give her credit. But I think that there was no way that she could have known that they would be this successful in the Star Wars universe. I don't think that she would have known, because she doesn't know how to do it herself. So how would she be able to see the talent that could? And I think now she's feeling the pressure, and she's kind of trying to sabotage them a bit and trying to do her own thing at the same time. She's trying to do the Filoniverse on her own with the High Republic. That was her attempt at the Filoniverse type thing. That was Kathleen Kennedy's Filoniverse. That was the Kennedyverse, is the High Republic. So I think that she's trying to sabotage them a bit with the Gina Carano firing, because we know that the Rangers of the New Republic was canceled because of it. And I think that the Rangers of the New Republic, while I wasn't looking forward to it too much, I think it was going to have big implications for the Filoniverse. I think that was going to be a huge piece of it. Like, big things were going to happen in that show. I truly believe that. So I think that she's trying to sabotage them a bit while also trying to do her own Filoniverse. While also trying to say, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it too. Trying to show the Disney higher ups that you don't need to fire me, because I can do what Filoni does too. I can do what Favreau does too. I can make my own universe. Yeah, no one likes your universe, Kathleen. I mean, people do talk a little bit highly about the High Republic books, but you can just tell, man. Just look at how the High Republic is marketed. Just look at how the High Republic is promoted. It's all diversity stuff. Nothing about it is story. When it comes to The Mandalorian, do you see any diversity promotion? Do you see any trans non-binary people in The Mandalorian? No, because no one knows the sexuality of those characters, because guess what? No one cares. It's not like we're super against trans non-binary people being in Star Wars. I really just don't care, but I also don't want to see it. I don't want it shoved down my throat, because when I see that now, I just think, oh, they're just trying to sell something to me. You know, they don't actually care about telling a good story. They're just trying to sell product, which is obviously true. They obviously want to sell us stuff. But when it comes to people like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, I know it's been beat to death, but they truly do want to tell a good story. And I think that they just don't care about sexualities. They don't care about genders. They're just telling stories, man. And however you look, however people assume that you are, that's what you are. You know, it's not like you have to identify every single person in the show like they do with the High Republic as this sexuality, this gender, this random made up thing. I don't like it, it's just a story. It's just a good story, and the proof is there. The proof is there for Kathleen Kennedy being fired. So many reports, so many little signs, and then the proof from Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that she's not needed. That peak Star Wars can actually be achieved if you put the right people in positions of power. If you let the right people actually create this content and stop having people like Kathleen Kennedy around, stop having her disciples, Pablo Hidalgo around, get her out of there, man. And I'm glad that someone's actually proven it to the Disney higher ups. I think she'll be out of here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Kathleen Kennedy will be out of here? And what do you think about this whole situation about Bob Chapek saying that Kathleen Kennedy won't be fired, that he loves having Kathleen Kennedy around. Apparently she's super creatively talented. What do you think about that? Do you think that actually means anything or not? Because I think it means absolutely nothing. But let me know what you think in the comments about the whole situation. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, both of the links will be in the description as well. But thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.